The diplomatic chamber aboard the Viridian Spire station hummed with the low thrum of life support systems, a constant reminder that the vacuum of space lay just beyond the reinforced walls. Captain Marcus Reed stood at the observation window, watching the swirl of distant nebulae paint the darkness in shades of purple and gold. Behind him, the delegation from Earth prepared for their first official meeting with the Caliph, a species whose reputation for ruthless efficiency had preceded them across half the galaxy. Marcus had commanded 3 deep space missions, survived a reactor breach on Europa Station, and once talked down a Grellian war chief from glassing a colony world. None of that prepared him for the moment when Ambassador Lyra of the Caliph delegation entered the room. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her frame elegant and angular in ways that human proportions never quite achieved. Her skin held a faint luminescence, like moonlight on water, and her eyes were twin pools of liquid silver that seemed to catalog everything they touched. But it was her hair that commanded attention, long strands that moved with a life of their own, flowing and shifting in colors that ranged from deep violet to pale white. Depending on some internal logic, Marcus could not begin to guess. The preliminary talks proceeded with the expected formality. Trade routes were discussed. Technology exchanges were proposed. The Caliph wanted access to human agricultural techniques, particularly the terraform adaptation methods that had turned Mars from rust-colored rock into viable farmland within 2 generations. In return, they offered propulsion designs that would cut travel time between systems by 40%. Marcus found himself watching Lyra more than he should have. She spoke with precision, each word measured and deliberate. Her hair shifted from violet to a calm blue as she outlined the terms of a potential alliance. The other Caliph delegates deferred to her constantly, and it became clear that despite her title of ambassador, she held significantly more authority than that word implied among humans. During a break in negotiations, Marcus made his mistake. The human delegation had gathered near a refreshment table laden with foods from a dozen worlds. Lieutenant Hayes was complaining about the reconstituted protein bars they had eaten for breakfast, and Ensign Torres suggested that anything would taste better than the fungal paste served on Trident Station. The conversation turned to the absurdities of deep space dining, and Marcus, caught up in the easy camaraderie of his crew, made a joke. He did not think. He simply spoke. "At least we don't have to worry about our food trying to escape," Marcus said with a grin, gesturing vaguely toward the Caliph delegation across the room. "Though I'm not entirely sure about Ambassador Lyra's hair. Does she have to feed it separately, or does it share the same stomach?" His crew laughed. Hayes nearly choked on his water. Torres slapped Marcus on the shoulder in appreciation of the absurd mental image. Then Marcus noticed the silence spreading through the room like ice forming on still water. Lyra stood 50 feet away, but her silver eyes locked onto him with the precision of a targeting laser. Her hair had stopped its gentle flowing. For 1 heartbeat, 2, 3, nothing moved. The other Caliph delegates took a unified step backward, their own hair strands going rigid and pale. Then Lyra's hair ignited. Blue flames erupted from every strand, rising 2 feet into the air in a corona of cold fire that gave off no heat, but filled the room with a light so intense that Marcus had to shield his eyes. The flames were not orange or red, like burning hydrogen or chemical combustion. They burned with the blue-white intensity of stellar fusion, a color that spoke of fundamental forces and ancient anger. Marcus felt his stomach drop. He had seen Caliph information packets. He had read the briefings. But nowhere in the dry diplomatic language had anyone mentioned that their hair could literally catch fire. Lyra crossed the distance between them in 3 strides. The flames around her head cast dancing shadows on the walls, and Marcus noticed with growing horror that the temperature in the room had actually dropped several degrees. Whatever those flames were, They defied every law of thermodynamics he understood. "You find humor in my biology," Lyra said. Her voice held no inflection, no anger, no warmth. It was the voice of someone stating an observable fact before passing judgment. Marcus opened his mouth. Nothing came out. His training had covered first contact protocols, cultural sensitivity guidelines, and conflict de-escalation techniques. None of it addressed what to do when you had accidentally mocked an alien ambassador's potentially sentient hair. "I apologize," Marcus managed. The words felt pathetically inadequate. It was thoughtless, disrespectful. The flames burned higher. Lyra's silver eyes narrowed. "Your species confuses me," she said. "You conquer worlds through determination and adapt to conditions that kill others through sheer refusal to accept defeat. You build civilizations from nothing and turn dead rocks into gardens. Your soldiers will die to save strangers, and your scientists will spend lifetimes solving problems that benefit people they will never meet." Marcus waited. He had learned that when someone was working through their thoughts, interrupting only made things worse. "And yet," Lyra continued, "you joke, constantly, about everything. You mock your own leaders, laugh at your own failings, and make absurd comparisons between sacred biology and digestive processes." The flames flickered. Their intensity decreased slightly. "We Caliph do not understand this," Lyra said. "For 3,000 generations, we have built our civilization on precision, efficiency, and respect for the natural order. Our hair is not decoration. It is an extension of our nervous system, a display of our emotional state, and a connection to the electromagnetic fields that bind our society together. When you joke about it, you joke about the core of what makes us who we are." Marcus felt the weight of his error settle onto his shoulders. This was not just an insult. It was a fundamental clash of worldviews. "Among humans," Marcus said carefully, "humor is how we cope with fear, with uncertainty, with the vast emptiness of space and the knowledge that we are fragile creatures in an indifferent universe. We joke because the alternative is to be paralyzed by how small we are." Lyra tilted her head. The flames dimmed further, shifting from intense blue to a softer cyan. "You use mockery as a defense mechanism," she said. "Yes," Marcus agreed. "And sometimes we forget that not everyone shares that defense. I hurt you, and I am genuinely sorry. Your hair is remarkable. The way it moves, the colors it displays. I have never seen anything like it in all my years traveling the stars. My joke was not worthy of something so beautiful." The flames extinguished. Lyra's hair settled back into its natural flowing state, cycling through shades of blue and violet. Around the room, the other Caliph delegates relaxed their rigid postures. "You speak with sincerity now," Lyra observed. "This is better." Marcus nodded. His heart still hammered in his chest, but the immediate danger seemed to have passed. "I must tell you something, Captain Reed," Lyra said. "The blue flames you saw are not anger. Not exactly. They are what we call the burning question. They appear when a Caliph encounters something that fundamentally challenges our understanding of reality, something that forces us to reevaluate what we thought we knew." "I don't understand," Marcus admitted. "Your joke was terrible," Lyra said. And for the first time, something that might have been amusement flickered across her alien features. "Truly awful." The comparison made no logical sense. Hair and digestive systems share no functional overlap. Marcus waited. "But it made my subordinates laugh," Lyra continued. "Not aloud. We do not laugh as humans do. But I saw their hair shift to colors of mirth. They found absurdity in your absurdity. And that has never happened before in all our recorded history." She stepped closer. The silver of her eyes seemed less cold now, more like mercury catching sunlight. Perhaps, Lyra said softly, there is value in humor we have not yet discovered. Perhaps your species' willingness to mock even sacred things is not disrespect, but a different form of courage. The courage to admit that nothing is so serious it cannot be questioned. Marcus felt tension he had not realized he was carrying drain from his shoulders. Does this mean negotiations can continue? He asked. Yes, Lyra said. But Captain Red, if you joke about my hair again, the flames will be red. And red flames among the Caliph mean something very different than blue ones. Understood, Marcus said quickly. The diplomatic talks resumed an hour later. The terms were agreed upon. Technology would be exchanged. Trade routes would be established. But more than that, a bridge had been built between two species who saw the universe through fundamentally different eyes. As the human delegation prepared to depart the Viridian Spire station, Lyra approached Marcus one final time. Your people will change the galaxy, she told him. Not through weapons or conquest, but through this strange habit of finding humor in darkness. The other species fear you because you laugh at things they consider sacred. But perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs. Marcus smiled. Just don't expect us to stop making terrible jokes. Lyra's hair shimmered through a rainbow of colors Marcus had not seen before. I would not dream of it, she said. The stars wheeled. Overhead his ships departed for distant worlds, carrying with them the seeds of understanding that would grow into something neither species could have predicted. And